Hey there, it's Jang here from the friendly forums at ultimaterc.com, and I'm going to be looking at the Electrix RC Circuit stadium truck released from Horizon Hobby. Horizon Hobby is the owner of the Losi brand. This particular truck right here has a street price that will range from anywhere from about $100 to about $120 ready to run. Now when I say ready to run, I really mean ready to run. They include a battery. It's an 1800 milliamp battery, but it is a nickel metal hydride pack, which will allow you to drive the truck without buying anything else. They even include AA batteries for the transmitter. They include a wall charger. It's a basic trickle charger to use with your nickel metal battery. Also included in the package, an extra set of crystals. So it is a 27 megahertz AM radio set, but it includes two sets of crystals. One of them is pre-installed and includes another one. So in case you buy this vehicle and you take it out to a track and there's somebody else out there that's running 27 megahertz AM and they just happen to be on the same frequency as you, well, now you're covered. You don't need to run to the hobby shop and buy another set. Very nice of them for that. And then they've got just the basic tools, a little T-wrench for nuts, and then a couple of small Allen wrenches which are used for some of the parts. The only tool that's really needed to work on this vehicle that they didn't include is a Phillips head screwdriver. The overall design is very much like the associated RC10 T4 or the HPI Electric Firestorm. Just the overall layout of it, the shape of the chassis, the construction, the way that you've got a shock tower all the way up in front with the shocks behind it, which lowers the center of gravity, and also if they ever do a buggy version of it, that would also help protect the shocks. The rear shock tower is bolted down from the top, and just the overall shape of that chassis with the sides nice and angled up, and it's got these rounded portions, rounded shapes coming out to the electronics wings, which help to prevent the vehicle from getting caught on terrain. The second thing that I notice here is that everything is thick. Just every single part, every single piece of plastic that I see before me right now is larger than I would expect. Even just looking at the chassis, you can see that the thickness of all of the vertical portions here is just more than you're used to. The A-arms are nice and beefy. It looks like they have a pretty good design to them just from an engineering perspective, and the thickness, again, the thickness of them is pretty good. The feel of the plastic itself, it is fairly flexible. I'm not sure if you can see that all that well on the camera, but I can really twist these arms. Now that is a bad thing for pure performance, but it's a really good thing for durability. You have to keep in mind that this is a low-end kit, and it's really aiming towards folks for whom this may be their first hobby level RC land vehicle, maybe their second, and it's just very, very inexpensive and designed to last. The outdrives are using the Traxxas style plastic half shafts that are telescoping. The shocks are plastic. They're plastic all the way around. It will remain to be seen how well the caps hold on. But again, just looking at the design, we've got plastic bushings top and bottom, which are separate pieces, and there's very good tolerance in there. There's not a lot of wiggle room. Speaking of wiggle, on the entire chassis, the suspension pins, the camber links, everything seems to fit together pretty well. The only place that there is an unfortunate amount of just play is in the steering, and that's fairly common also for low-end vehicles, I'm afraid. While I'm talking about steering, I know I'm kind of going all over the place here, but I'm getting just a lot of visual input and a lot of different things that I'm seeing on this vehicle that I'm actually liking quite a lot. This is something that I've not seen on a vehicle this cheap before. It actually has coplanar steering. The steering bell cranks, their shafts are angled at the same angle as the kick-up of the front suspension, which means that bump steer can be actually completely dialed out on this truck. The tires, well, they are rubber, and it does feel like they have foams in them, but it's not very soft rubber, and also just the design of the rear tread is not something that's going to work very well on most dirt. So if you're running on a dry surface, this is definitely not going to hook up very well. Fortunately, there is tow-in built into the truck, so that's going to help with traction a little bit at the rear, but just not the best design of tires. As for the front tires, these are much better. These have some nice deep ridges. They are obviously inspired by the Proline Edge style of tire, where you've got the bi-directional ridges on the inside and single directional ridges on the outside. They are using standard 2.2 inch wheels, front and rear, no funky 2.8 inch, 3 inch, or any other exclusive size, so you will be able to fit any standard stadium truck tires onto these wheels. The wheels themselves use 12 millimeter hexes. You're not going to be able to see it that well with them still installed, but they're 12 millimeter hexes all the way around, which is pretty much the norm. They do appear to use the same offset of wheels, front and rear, which is good, so you don't have to get different ones for the front and rear. Thankfully, all the way around, this truck uses no E-clips. All of the suspension pins are either screw pins or they are captured pins with just little set screws to hold them in. So how does it drive? Well, honestly, pretty decent. The stock suspension setup works pretty well. It seems to have a good combination of springs and oil. Could do a little bit of tuning, but all in all, for an entry-level, ready-to-run vehicle, the handling is good. And honestly, the tires hooked up a lot better than I expected them to. But there is a caveat to that. This truck is slow. Top speed out of the box is about 17 miles an hour on my radar gun. It's powered by a 20-turn sealed can brushed motor that I believe is the exact same one that Traxxas used to use and called the Stinger. Most of the time going around the track, I found myself really trying to squeeze the trigger on my controller as hard as I possibly could to extract a little bit more speed out of it, and it just wasn't there. That top speed can be very disappointing if you were to compare this vehicle against other ready-to-run hobby-level RCs. Now, if you're just coming into the hobby for the first time and you're used to toy-level RCs, this is going to be great. But if you compare it to other vehicles on the market, you're very quickly going to be disappointed just in the speed itself. The handling is good, but it needs more power. Now, I was going to dock the vehicle for requiring a lot of money to get that extra speed out of it, but then I did a little more research and found out that the included speed control is good for motors down to 12 turns. Electrix RC itself has actually released a 15-turn motor set that also includes a pinion gear that will get a lot more speed and power out of the vehicle, without requiring that you upgrade to an expensive brushless motor system. Now that's pretty smart and makes the Electrix RC Circuit Stadium truck a good value and a good buy for a beginner. All in all, a good platform, great handling, and a very low price for a complete RTR stadium truck. I hope you've enjoyed this unbiased review. I'm Jang from the friendly forums at ultimaterc.com, and I'll talk to you again soon.